Now, the way we told the story and the way into it, it's a tough story to kind of reduce into a feature film, was through the character of Roger Rees that Anthony plays, a journalist who 4 weeks after their death went up there initially to find out what happened, but beyond that to report on what was happening to this little country, the tragedy that was about to befall it.
And for a long time in Australia it was denied what actually happened.
Yeah, I mean, even today.
Even today, there's still, quite a few of the players from that time are still alive. And, they're still, as they're getting older, they're having trouble remembering the lies they told earlier. So their stories that tend to drift a little now.
Time to catch them out.
Yeah, it's, but there's still a massive amount of denial, although, one of the things I think we're both quite proud of is that as a result of the film, the Australian government has ordered the federal police to reopen the investigation and go after these guys and charge them with war crimes, the ones who are still alive. It's a great thing to happen, whether they actually do it or not. They may have publicly done that, but when I see them coming in handcuffs and sitting in front of a jury, I'll believe it.
Do you think part of the reason for the Australian government's denial for so long, do you think there was fear of the Suharto regime?
Look, I think that, pragmatism in foreign policy is, clearly an issue for all major governments in the world. And, this pragmatic view of us needing to have a strong relationship with Indonesia and subsuming our obligations under things like the Geneva Convention. I believe that when you sign up to the Geneva Convention, these are fundamental foundation things that,
Isn't Australia one of the 12 countries that isn't?
Yeah, I mean, there's certain things we haven't ratified, resolutions we haven't ratified, which I think is appalling. And so that pragmatism led, to, and continues to really.
Oh, it still does. And it's still going on. As I was saying earlier, there's a situation going on in Papua New Guinea, which is also extremely close to Australia, where an American mine, Fremont mine from New Orleans, they have, I'm not sure what they're mining, is it bauxite or something?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
They've plunked down the mine, been there since the 90s, early 90s, on a, what they call first contact tribe. Because Papua New Guinea is one of those places that has, it's one of the few places on the planet that there are still undiscovered tribes, and it hasn't been surveyed or any of that stuff. And they plunked down this mine on this first contact tribe. They've never seen white people before. And these people want their land back. And Fremont has adopted a policy of hiring the Indonesian military to exterminate them, basically. They shoot about 50 a year on record. And there's all kinds of other... It's basically the same guys, just moved over. Once they were kicked out of East Timor in '99, they moved to Papua New Guinea, and they're still continuing. The Indonesian military is still conducting operations of similar activities that they did in East Timor, now in Papua. Same thing.
So what drove you to become involved in this movie?
Just couldn't not. I read the book by George Olive, Cover Up, and it was. You read the book and you get angry. You get angry about the situation. You get angry about the fact that your own government has decided, in the interest of. I mean, Richard Wolcott quite clearly said that. That what had happened to the Timorese and to the journalists was an unfortunate, what was the word? It was so cold.
Cost of the pragmatism.
Cost of pragmatism in order to preserve business relations with Indonesia. It was just another day in business for them, really. And that's extremely disappointing when you think that a third of the Timorese population was murdered to keep those trade agreements alive.
John Pilger's come out and criticised your film for not being hard enough on the Australian government. Do you think you went hard enough?
Oh, I think so. I mean, the film's caused the most almighty storm. It's led to war crimes charges being, open for the first time in 34 years. I mean, the film's had such a significant impact. I mean, where I disagree fundamentally with John Pilger is that he thinks the film should have been set in the corridors of power in Canberra and dealt with the Australian politicians and their complicit role. Whereas I wanted to take the audience to East Timor. I wanted to show the tragedy that befell 200,000 East Timorese that lost their lives.
John Pilger could make his own movie anytime he wants to, the way he would like to make it. The point is, if you get down to the bare bones truth, and most people won't say it, but I will, I think he's just ticked that we were able to get more done with the film than he's been able to do in 30 years of fighting for the cause. I respect him for fighting for the cause. I don't understand that he would criticize something that is able to help his cause. It doesn't matter whether it was filmed in the corridors of Canberra.
We're on the same page. I was very surprised by how vehement he was.
It's all on the same. It's all on the same page, and all I can put it down to is, whether he's aware of it or not. There's a certain amount of, this is my territory. How dare you jump on it? And I don't know. I didn't realize it was his.
And certainly we couldn't have made the film if it wasn't for Death of a Nation. I mean, his work has been quite extraordinary.
But that's what I mean. But it's like, as Robert said, we're all in concert. We all have the same objective, which is to tell the story and get it out there. To take issue with, did this happen exactly this way? If we shot the film the way that on the weight of his criticism, first of all, it would have been an 8-hour film. Secondly, it would have been boring as man.
But mainly for me, I think that the political statement of the film in depicting the execution of these 5 men, they're not killed in the film in crossfire as the Australian government's view has been for 34 years. By showing that is such a political statement in itself, that has held the Australian government to account. And, as we see, it's had this fantastic impact of helping, prompt the war crimes investigations. And we can only keep our fingers crossed.
But there's also the practicality of making a film. You have a finite amount of time. What story do you decide to tell? We told the story that we thought was the most effective. People are open to disagree. It's perfectly valid for people to disagree with that. It's also perfectly valid for them to go make their own version of it. The Indonesian government didn't like it either.
I enjoyed the structure of the film, where you had Roger Rees following through us behind, but the footage you shot, it actually looked like news footage from the time. Did you actually use the 1975 style cameras to shoot that?
Yeah, we used the ingenue lenses from the 70s. We tried it digitally initially, but then kind of really enjoyed just the practical thing of going to remote East Timor with 16mm cameras, 16mm film stock, 1970s lenses, and capturing the film in the way those guys captured it back then. In fact, our cinematographer said that he learnt one thing about the cameramen that lost their lives, and it was an immense respect for them. I mean, they got footage back of the Indonesian ships in Timorese waters, most difficult circumstances. And, we had all the trappings of a modern crew, as small as it was.
What? Are you joking? 18 people in the crew.
But, they were a very small unit back then in the 70s.
All right. Rob and Anthony, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.